Hello and welcome to Wine and Words Wednesday. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I'm a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and I'm here today to hopefully catch you at the end of your workday, and to share with you some poems. I have been thinking a little bit about just the fact that we are, in into so many months into the pandemic, and wanting to offer some poems about resilience and hope. And hopefully, you will find these inspiring, and you will enjoy them as maybe you're having that glass of wine at the end of the day, or that cup of hot herbal tea. So, again, welcome to Wine and Words Wednesday. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I'm a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and I have some poems to share with you today about resilience and hope. So, my first poem is Falling and Flying by poet Jack Gilbert. Everyone forgets that Icarus also flew. It's the same when love comes to an end, or the marriage fails and people say they knew it was a mistake, that everyone said it would never work, that she was old enough to know better. But anything worth doing is worth doing badly, like being there by the summer ocean on the other side of the island, while love was fading out of her, the stars burning so extravagantly, those nights that anyone could tell you they would never last. Every morning she was asleep in my bed, like a visitation, the gentleness in her like antelope standing in the dawn mist. Each afternoon I watched her coming back through the hot, stony field after swimming. The sea, the light behind her, and the huge sky on the other side of that, listened to her while we ate lunch. How can they say the marriage failed? Like the people who came back from Provence when it was Provence and said it was pretty good, but the food was greasy. I believe Icarus was not failing as he fell, but just coming to the end of his triumph. So that was Falling and Flying by Jack Gilbert. I am again sharing poems about resilience and hope today for Wine and Words Wednesday. And my second poem is one of my favorites. Hopefully, you will like it too, and you may be familiar with it. It is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by the soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So that's Maya Angelou. And continuing on with some poems about resilience and hope, here is Perhaps the World Ends Here by Joy Harjo. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. So it has been since creation, and it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe at the corners. They scrape their knees under it. It is here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. What make men at it, we make women. At this table we gossip, recall enemies and the ghosts of lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. This table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It is a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We have given birth on this table and have prepared our parents for burial here. At this table, we sing with joy, with sorrow. We pray of the suffering and remorse. We give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we are laughing and crying and eating the last sweet bite. So that was Prepare the World and Perhaps the World Ends Here by Joy Harjo. So continuing on with some poems of resilience and hope, we now read A Litany for Survival by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways, coming and going, in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures. The bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. When we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard, nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So it is better to speak, remembering that we were never meant to survive. And then continuing on with our poems of resilience and hope, the poem Of History and Hope by Miller Williams. We have memorized America, how it was born and who we have been and where. In ceremonies and silence we say the words, telling the stories, singing the old songs. We like the places they take us, mostly we do. The great and the anonymous dead are there. We know the sound of all the sounds we brought, the rich taste of it on our tongues. But where are we going to be and why and who? The disenfranchised dead want to know. We mean to be the people we meant to be, to keep on going where we meant to go. But how do we fashion the future? How can we say how except in the minds of those who will call it now? The children, and how does our garden grow? With waving hands, oh, rarely in a row, and flowering faces, and brambles that we can no longer allow. Who were many people coming together cannot become one people falling apart. Who dreamed for every child an even chance cannot let luck alone turn doorknobs or not. Whose law was never so much of the hand as the head cannot let chaos make its way to the heart. Who have seen learning struggle from teacher to child cannot let ignorance spread itself like rot. We know what we have done and what we have said and how we have grown degree by slow degree, believing ourselves toward all we have tried to become, just and compassionate, equal, able, and free. All this in the hands of children, eyes already set on a land we never can visit. It isn't there yet. But looking through their eyes, we can see what our long gift to them may come to be. If we can truly remember, they will not forget. Okay, so again, if you just joined us, welcome to Wine and Words Wednesday. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and we are reading poems of resilience and hope. And my next poem is Ode to Broken Things by Pablo Neruda. Things get broken at home, like they were pushed by an invisible, deliberate smasher. It's not my hands or yours. It wasn't the girls with their hard fingernails or the motion of the planet. It wasn't anything or anybody. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't the orange-colored noontime or night over the earth. It wasn't even the nose or the elbow or the hips getting bigger, or the ankle, or the air. The plate broke, the lamp fell, all the flower pots tumbled over one by one. That pot which overflowed with scarlet in the middle of October, it got tired from all the violets, and another empty one rolled round and round and round, all through the winter, until it was only the powder of a flower pot, a broken memory, shining dust. And that clock, whose sound was the voice of our lives, the secret thread of our weeks, which released one by one so many hours for honey and silence, for so many births and jobs, that clock also fell, and its delicate blue guts vibrated among the broken glass, its wide heart unsprung. Life goes on, life goes on, grinding up glass, wearing out clothes, making fragments, breaking down forms. And what lasts through time is like an island on a ship in the sea, perishable, surrounded by dangerous fragility, by merciless waters and threats. Let's pull all our treasures together, the clocks, the plates, the cups cracked by the cold, into a sack and carry them to the sea, and let our possessions sink into one alarming breaker that sounds like a river. May whatever breaks be reconstructed by the sea with the long labor of its tides. So many useless things which nobody broke, but which got broken anyway. And then lastly, in my poems of resilience and hope, is one of my favorite poets by Rumi. The poem is The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent a guide from beyond. So that's it for Wine and Words Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Again, we've been doing poems of resilience and hope. And in these kind of dark days of winter and other things happening in our world, I hope that you took some comfort and inspiration from these poems. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. This was Wine and Words Wednesday, and I hope you have a great day.